Well, hello and welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Morning Trade with me, Nandita Khemka. Well, over the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking about the trade setup, the sectors in focus, and of course, the stocks to watch out for in today's session. We'll also be getting all your stock-related queries answered by a technical expert on the show. So if you have any queries, keep commenting on our live feed and we'll take it up with the expert. But before we do all that, let's take a look at the top headlines at this hour. Well, financials lead a sell-off on Wall Street as higher for longer rate hike expectations intensify fears of borrower defaults. The Nasdaq corrects over 2%, while the Dow slides over 500 points as investors remain cautious ahead of the February jobs report. Asian markets see a gap down opening following weak cues from Wall Street. The Nikkei slips over 1% ahead of Bank of Japan's policy decision. For the Indian market, the SGX Nifty 2 is signaling a gap down start of about 100 points or so. Crude prices continue to decline amid the fears that Fed's interest rate hikes could spark a recession and reduce oil demand. Brent trades below the $82 mark. Also on the show today, why does Ambit have a sell call on Bajaj Finance? And stocks in focus are Wipro, Zydus, Tata Motors and IRB Infra. Well, without any delays, let's go across to Pankaj Agarwal, who's the BFSI analyst at Ambit Capital, to discuss why the brokerage has a sell call on Bajaj Finance. Good morning, Pankaj. Good to have you on the show. Well, you guys have recently initiated a sell rating on the stock on Bajaj Finance and you expect a 16% downside going forward. Now, the stock has also been underperforming. In fact, on a YTD basis, it's down nearly 10%. And in 2022, it underperformed both the Nifty and Sensex, which has not happened in 14 years. So my question to you is, what are the risks you're seeing for the company going forward and why do you think the stock is poised for a derating?
Good morning, Nandita. The reason we have a sell rating on the stock is that we believe that the growth and margins which are built into the stock, company will find it difficult to deliver on those expectations. I think currently the stock is pricing in 25% AUM growth for almost a decade with stable margins. But we believe that because of competition, because of size, both growth and margins will slow down and that will lead to derating.
Right, Pankaj, NIM compression is a major risk for the entire BFSI sector. Why do you think that Bajaj Finance will be the most affected, especially since its performance over the last few quarters has been pretty solid? Asset quality too has seen an improvement. So why do you feel that its AUM growth is at risk of a slowdown?
So margins for the near term, we think that cost of funds should go up for all the NBFCs and that should result in margin compression for all NBFCs, including Bajaj Finance. So that's for more like FY24. For the longer term, we believe that as Bajaj Finance scales up its loan book, as it goes into new territories, its margins will come down because there are limited opportunities in high yield loans. So, for example, only 13% of personal loans are more than 13% yield in India. So, as it scales up, margins should come down. In terms of AUM growth, we believe that it already has a very high market share within NBFCs. Its market share in personal loans is roughly 45% within NBFCs. Within MSME, it's already having 23% market share. So to further scale up, it will have to compete with banks where, of course, competition from banks is increasing. And that's the reason we believe that growth should slow down for them going forward.
Right, competition from banks is increasing. So how do you think a banking license will help Bajaj Finance amid this rising competition? In fact, if you recall, Sanjeev Bajaj has also been saying that, we have too few banks and common man needs more access. So what are your views on that front?
I think a banking license is a very good thing for an NBFC. It gives you a steady flow of liabilities. And it helps you scale up your business. That's why you would notice that all the big financial institutions in India are banks. But the banking license comes with the cost. So when you convert into a bank, your ROE comes down. So you have to take a short-term pain for those long-term gains. And that's where I think the management will have to decide in which direction they go.
You have to take short-term pain for long-term gains. Finally, my last question to you is, what is your overall view on the BFSI space? Private banks, PSUs, NBFCs, insurance, housing finance companies. What does the pecking order now look like?
We are positive on the sector. So our preference is private sector banks, selected private sector banks, because we think that valuations are reasonable for the sector despite some short-term headwinds. Valuations for insurance is also reasonable because we believe though there are some short-term issues, but long-term growth opportunities intact. Our least preferred space is NBFCs and HFCs, where we think that valuations are very punchy and margins should compress next year. So that's the packing order: banks, insurance, and NBFCs.
So banks, insurance and NBFC is the pecking order. Well, with that, Pankaj, thanks a lot for taking out time and putting things into perspective for us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's also bring on board our technical expert for today, Raja Venkatraman from Neotrader, joining in this morning. Good morning, Raja. Good to have you on the show. Well, not a very pretty picture this Friday. Yesterday, we ended at the low point of the day. Today, SGX Nifty is hinting at a triple-digit cut, if not a 200 point, 170 odd point cut on the index. Now, 17,430 is a 200-day DMA for the Nifty. Do you expect that level to be breached today?
Yeah, good morning, Nandita. The way the markets are getting set up, it's clearly an indication that there is some downside in store. And well, we tend to replicate the SGX, but what we have to consider is that at the domestic end, barring the Adani news front, there is not much of negative news flow per se. So yes, we tend to react to what's happening globally, and our levels definitely will be tested. So the levels, like you rightly mentioned, is around 17,400, and these levels are going to be tested. And one of the primary reasons for that could be some trigger in Bank Nifty. And Bank Nifty at higher levels has attracted a lot of selling. So now, however, between Bank Nifty and Nifty, Bank Nifty appears to be much more resilient. So now what will save the indices from cracking further between both of them would be Bank Nifty. If Bank Nifty continues to hold the 41,000 level, then we would not see much the downward retracement in the indices. Else, if the correction begins to happen below 41,000, I see towards the region of 40,000 in Bank Nifty, and that could take the Nifty even well below 17,000 also. So yes, we are standing at a very crucial point. Global markets are definitely weaker, and the way I have been speaking about wherever I am going in the last few days is that at rallies there are supplies coming in, so it's not a time to get excited that the dips are buying opportunities. Actually, it's the reverse. The rallies are sell opportunities. So now, if you're going to participate in the market, you have to be more of a seller than a buyer. And if you're even going to buy, it largely has to be an intraday kind of a move rather than a multi-day, because the moves are not able to sustain, because the overall market condition is very uncertain. And the way people are coming forward and exiting, which is clearly an indication that there is lack of faith in what is happening right now. And I believe that this trend could continue for the next few weeks. So this kind of scenario is going to persist. So one should approach the market with a trading mentality rather than an investing mentality.
Well, approach the market with a trading mentality rather than an investing mentality, and let's just hope that it doesn't turn out to be a very freaky Friday for the markets. Before I move on to other stocks, I have a query on Adani group of stocks. Since you mentioned Adani, Trilok has written in and he wants to know your thoughts on Adani Enterprises and Adani Ports. Remember, these stocks have snapped a 6-day winning streak yesterday. So intraday, what kind of levels would you be expecting today for these two stocks?
So at the moment, what the levels which it has to breach is about 2100. If it doesn't cross 2100, so which it doesn't look likely, considering the way it has been positioning. Yes, there are some positive news flows coming in, but then the price is not resonating with that. So if it breaks yesterday's low, then it could travel all the way towards 1800 is my take on Adani. So those who want to participate in Adani should look at it from a selling point of view, because the rally which we have witnessed over the last few days have come into a perfect selling point.
Right. Let's also just move on to my preferred stock of the day today is Wipro, because it has a bagged contract from the world's largest aviation services company. In fact, it will be transforming Menzies Aviation's air cargo management services. Now, large cap IT has staged a turnaround this year, But Wipro on a YTD basis hasn't gained all that much. It's down somewhere around 1% or so on a YTD basis. What kind of levels would you be watching out for Wipro in today's session then?
Yeah, Wipro, we have discussed earlier as well that this stock lacks any luster. And, news flows keep coming in, but this stock, it did go up in the wave of the IT recovery, but then again, it is facing some headwinds out there. And what I feel is that it could travel lower despite the news flow. And if it breaks 385 levels, it could travel all the way towards 350. So Wipro is a very good short opportunity from my side.
Well, Wipro is a short opportunity. Let's also focus in on Bharti Airtel. Yesterday we had a bullish call on Airtel by CLSA. It said that, ARPUs may go up by 3% given the recent price hikes. In fact, even the CEO has indicated that there could be another tariff hike mid-2023. And this morning we have a very bullish report coming in from Jefferies. It has upgraded the stock to buy. Target is at 900 rupees and it sees somewhere around 13% growth in its average revenues per user over FY23 and FY25. This stock has gained somewhere around 4% on a 5-day basis. Do you expect the up move to continue? Even yesterday it was holding out in a weak market.
Yeah, see, if you take a look at the trajectory, what happened yesterday, it got the boost, rather the tailwind from the brokerage reports. Apart from that, the price actually traveled lower. So overall sentiment continues to be on a muted note in Bharti Airtel, and I would not be a buyer in Bharti Airtel. Actually, the rise which we saw yesterday, it has again become a good short opportunity. Well, over the last few minutes, I've been only talking about short opportunities because the kind of setups that are emerging are only indicating that at higher levels, people are introducing shorts, and a stock like Bharti is actively traded by the biggies as well. So there are a lot of short opportunities here. It has traded well into a resistance zone around 800. And from there, it has witnessed some sell-off, and I expect the sell-off to continue today as well.
Well, the sell-off is going to continue today as well. And of course, it's a short call on Bharti Airtel that's coming in from Raja. Raja, the next stock on my list is IRB Infra. It has reported a nearly 30% YY increase in toll collection for the month of February. Now, if you look at the stock, over the last 5 days, it has gained somewhere around 2% or thereabouts. It's actually quite close to its 52-week high of 34 rupees, 35 rupees or thereabouts. What would you say is the chart setup looking like now?
Yeah, so the infra space is having some tailwinds, especially from the government's reinitiated the momentum here, and the overall structure of IRB Infra looks to be encouraging. Yes, it is a two-digit stock. It is on the smaller side of the two-digit stock as well, but the overall prospects continues to be positive. So yes, you can expect to invest into this counter with a 6-monthly horizon for a target towards the region of 50 to 55 over the next 6 months. But then the progress would be slow and gradual because considering the way the market is poised. But then overall bias is positive.
Well, the overall bias for IRB Infra looks positive. Let's also talk about Gokaldas exports. There was a big block deal in the counter yesterday. It was down somewhere around 4%. Goldman Sachs has emerged as one of the buyers at an average price of 391 rupees a piece. How would you play this stock in today's session?
This stocks appears to be range bound, and I think this range bound action would continue for the next few weeks because there is no particular trigger barring this news flow. So yes, for this news flow to really trigger some buying momentum, the prices have to travel above 430 levels for seeing any kind of significant movement. Else, it's going to be a range bound action.
Right, another big block deal yesterday was, of course, Home First, and that stock tumbled somewhere around 8%. Now, Fidelity funds, in fact, even Nomura has emerged as buyers in the counter. 8% down yesterday, 678 or thereabouts. Where do you expect this counter to head now?
See, looking at the overall movement, the trajectory is indicating that the chances of this particular stock to, really move up looks to be difficult, and the kind of selling pressure which would be coming in, also combined with the market momentum, we are going to have challenges going ahead. So it would be an avoid from my side.
Avoid Home First at the current juncture. Another stock, NBCC, it has won an order worth 230 crore rupees from IIFT. It will be building its new campus in Kakinada. Stock was actually up somewhere around 2% yesterday. Over the last 5 days, it has been buzzing. It has raked in gains to the tune of 8% or so. More upside on this counter now?
No, this counter will continue to oscillate in this region because around higher levels, around say around 43 to 45, once again it will hit a roadblock. So yes, if you would look to participate on a short-term basis, it's all right. But then I would continue to hold on investing in such counters because a two-digit counter, especially sub 50, have got very slow trajectory of movement. So if you are going to invest into this counter, you should really have some additional fund flow. If not, then this is an avoid.
Well, even this one is an avoid for now. Let's also talk about Zydus. It has been pretty sideways, but it's close to its 52-week highs. Now, it has got the USFDA approval for erythromycin tablets, and the drugs will be manufactured at its formulation unit in Ahmedabad. Would you expect this bit of news to push the stock closer to the 52-week high? It's just about 12 rupees away from that level.
Yeah, so what has happened in Zydus is after the fall seen from June 2021, where it peaked out much earlier, and over the last 1.5 years, it has been only in a corrective mode. And over the last few months, we have seen it recovering. So now the recovery which you are seeing right now is very positive. So I expect that this move could continue. And if it breaks out above, say, 500, is a very important zone. So it would also make a new 52-week high, and it would be a very good investment opportunity. So amongst all the stocks which are discussed so far, Zydus looks to be very promising.
Right, Zydus looks promising in the pharma pack. Last stock on my list, at least, is Tata Motors. This morning we have news that its subsidiary Tata Technologies has filed DRHP with the SEBI for an IPO. But if you look at the stock, it has managed to stage a comeback, and it's actually heading towards the 52-week highs of 494 levels or thereabouts. Do you expect this upside to continue, and should investors buy into this one now?
No, because Tata Motors, we discussed this in the earlier show as well, that Tata Motors is having challenges, and the auto sector, considering the kind of cyclical nature which it is in right now, the entire auto pack is pressured. And this entire week, we have seen the auto sectors facing a lot of heat, and this stock is not going to be spared. And I feel that the overall momentum is very lackluster in Tata Motors, and this would be a very good opportunity to initiate some shorts, because unless it moves above 475, I don't see any kind of positive bias entering this counter.
All right, watch out for levels of 475 on Tata Motors to get some positive signals. Let's take up some more queries then. This query is coming in from Neeraj Garg, and he has a question on Asian Paints. Now, this stock was once a darling of the stock market, and now it has come under a fair bit of pressure. So Neeraj holds somewhere around 32 lots of Asian Paints, and he wants to know whether he should book profit now or wait.
Yes, Asian Paints, due to the dynamics of crude oil, is facing the impact right now. And ever since the last almost 1.5 years, these stocks have had challenges. They see some brief recovery, but it has not been able to surpass its 3,500 highs. And right now, it has managed to hold on to around 2,700 lows. So yes, it is at a very interesting stage right now. And if you are looking at a target perspective, the targets would be somewhere in the region of 3070 is the target which is emerging. Now, in terms of an action plan for Asian Paints, you should be looking at the region of around 2800 as a stop loss. So if it crosses 2800 and moves below it, you can exit, or you can hold on for higher levels because it is on a recovery plane.
Right. Let's take up the next query. This one is coming in on Avenue Supermarts, and Saurabh Pawar has written in. He wants to know your thoughts on this counter. This stock has been under pressure, and on a YTD basis, it has shaved off somewhere around 17%. More downside from here, or do you expect it to?
Yeah. Yes, this stock is clearly under pressure. It has lost its charm way back, and over the last few months, it has only been showing some pressure. Yes, we saw a brief upside, but then currently it is indicating more pressure, so one should exit from this counter.
Right, one should exit from DMart at the current juncture. The next query is once again on the Tata Group stock, Tata Elxsi. Naveen has written in and he wants to know your thoughts on this one. How does this look on the charts now, Tata Elxsi?
This stock also continues to be weak. It had its great run, and as everyone knows, it has given multiple X of the return if someone had invested in 2020. Now, what is happening is there is a steady profit booking happening here, and as we all know, Nasdaq has fallen by 2%, so that could also trigger some panic wave in IT as well, and we could see some sharp decline coming in. So, if you are having a holding, then it would be a good time to exit.
Right, so good time to exit Tata Elxsi, that's the call. The next query is coming in on Bandhan Bank, and this one is has been sent by Baswaraj Bhima Reddy. He holds 900 shares at the rate of 303 rupees a piece. He's making losses. He wants to know whether he should average right now or exit with loss, or should he hold on for another 2 to 3 years as he's a long-term investor.
Yeah, so the way Bandhan Bank has been moving over the last few months, it has been clearly an indication that the stock is pressured, and at every rally that we see, we are witnessing some selling pressure. So the selling pressure is expected to continue, and it could accelerate. So it is best to exit with a loss, because once it moves below 215, the fall could really accelerate.
Right, just about enough time for one or two more queries. Next query is coming in from Funny PG, and he wants to know your thoughts on PFC and REC. Which one of these two looks better at this juncture to enter?
So I would go with PFC, because I feel that PFC is in a much better setup, and the kind of momentum which we are seeing right now is clearly an indication that there is some steady move to the upside, and the kind of range which it was for more than 2 years, it is seeing it coming out of that range. So we can expect some more upside in PFC to the region of around 225 within the next 6 months.
Right, so I hope that answers your query. The next and the last query for today is on Motherson Sumi. Bikram Murmu has written in and he wants to know how is it looking for the short term now.
Motherson Sumi is a stock which hardly creates any momentum, and it's largely the momentum which is generated is on an intraday basis. So I would not be participating in Motherson Sumi ever.
Okay, not participating in Motherson Sumi ever. So this wraps up our query segment as we are running out of time. But before I let you go, Raja, tell us what are you recommending for our viewers this morning?
Yeah, so what I would recommend is, as you have already heard my pitch, it's on the short side. So I will have two takes on the short side. The first take is from the auto space. Maruti, which has seen some considerable weakness emerging yesterday. So we could short it at current levels, and we could have a stop loss around 86.75 for a target of 84.80. And the other will be from the banking space. I would like to go short in RBL Bank around 227 with a stop at 232 for a target of 215.
So two short calls, Maruti and RBL Banks. Well, with that, we've completely run out of time. So thanks a lot for taking out time and joining us this morning, Raja. Well, Well, this is it. So we've come to the end of this show, but don't go anywhere because coming up next is opening bell. So it's a goodbye from me, Nandita. Stay tuned to Money Control.